5000 BC, somewhere in Trans-Himalayas, there's a saint, there's a sadhu or a rishi, and he's trying to meditate. Yogi Frogi, let's call it Yogi Frogi. He's very determined by this idea that he's going to meditate till he brings the gods down so that he can ask himself a bunch of boons and a couple of supernatural powers. You know, they can always come handy. Very convinced with this idea, he finds himself a very nice, neat spot somewhere in the bushes, and he begins to meditate. Now, half an hour down into the meditation, this guy doesn't look very happy. He doesn't look very happy. Let's be realistic. It's cold. He's naked, and he's all of a sudden bothered by the surroundings. He's all of a sudden bothered by the sounds coming from the areas. He's bothered by the weather, maybe the lack of oxygen. He feels that his back is just not strong enough to hold that upright, pretentious, meditative posture. He feels that his shoulders are just not strong enough to hold his chest exactly where it belongs. And he feels that his knees are way too stiff, and they're jammed, and they're not letting the blood circulate, and he doesn't feel the same kind of warmth which he needs to be able to sit in that kind of weather. Very disappointed by the whole thing, what he does, he just simply comes out of it. But this one is a wise rishi. This one is a wise saint. He wants to work on his body now. He decides to work on his body first and then come back and start meditating over again. Fair enough. But this guy also happens to be a perfectionist. Now, this yogi wants his body to be absolutely error-free, without any kind of ailments, so that when he sits for the meditation next time, he is so comfortable that he doesn't feel his physical self anymore, and he can sit through the meditation for as long as he wants. With this kind of intention, he starts doing some movements, and he happened to invent yoga poses. And he started working on all the ailments, all the problem areas, one by one. He started working on his knees, he started working on his thighs, he started working on his lower back muscles so that he can simply maintain the meditative stance. Now, it's showing he can stretch better. You can see he can almost touch his toes now. And he's growing stronger. And what he feels is that he actually does feel better. Now, next time when he sat for the meditation, he could actually go for one entire day. Well, from half an hour to one entire day, it's quite an achievement. He is very happy with the results, and he wants to continue working the same way. And now he does even more advanced things. Now, as he's working on all of this, you know, gaining more strength, gaining more flexibility. We all know that this stuff takes time. But meanwhile, what we notice is that he is actually growing not only stronger, not only more flexible, he's actually growing much more relaxed and calm. And he's actually growing much more patient about the whole thing. Now, that the fact that the human body, or let's say the frog body, or yogi body, or any body, cannot be absolutely error-free, you know, because of the evolution, because of the constant aging. But this fact is now compensated by the very fact that he has more tolerance. He has more tolerance, and he's more patient to deal with those minor physical discomforts. Now he can sit into the meditation without getting distracted. He still has those kind of physical discomforts, but he can pull through them. He can still stay focused, and he can still continue to sit into the position. Well, the day comes, his voice is heard, gods, they come down, and he hands over the list, like these are the superpowers I want, and he gets them. Well, his goal is met, his job is done, and he packs his bags and he moves on. Now, this is not a true story. But what this story tells you is what a lot of yoga scriptures, they tell you about yoga asanas, about what yoga positions are all about. So what a lot of yoga scriptures say, that the sole purpose of yoga positions is only to prepare your physical self so that you can sit into the meditation for longer hours. So this is what a lot of yoga scriptures, they define about the physical aspect of yoga. The things which you see people doing, like sometimes they look like a pretzel, sometimes they look like jalebi. So the whole idea behind all of that is so that somebody can sit like this for hours. Now, this saint had very different goals. It's 2017, and our goals are very different. We want very different things. Ask somewhere around in this room, what are your goals? You must find at least one guy who'll say, listen, I want to be a billionaire and without being a topper in the university. Fair enough. I'm sure that is possible. In a nutshell, what I'm trying to tell you is that today, it is possible to be yogi and anything. Now, when I say that you can be a yogi and anything, that means you can be a yogi and a chef, yogi and a photographer, yogi and a rickshaw puller, yogi and a DJ, yogi and an astronaut, anything. So you choose what you want to be. Now, yoga is a very broad subject, and the applications can be like infinite, and you choose where you want to apply it. But trust me, it has a place in your kitchen when you're cooking. It has a place when you're playing that favorite sport of yours. It has a place for an Olympian who's trying to stay calm and focused right before the competition when he's fighting for 1, 2, or 3, when he's dealing with that kind of stress. It has the application for an astronaut who is into International Space Station orbiting around the Earth. So yoga can be applied everywhere. But today, we are not getting into any kind of technicalities, and what I'm going to give you is like 4 kickstarters to begin with. And they're very easy, they're very simple. And you can even do them even if you have absolutely no ideas what yoga is all about. So what we have here is Yoga Starter Pack for aspiring superheroes. We already are heroes, I assume that. Now, how to become a superhero, that's what we're going to talk about. So I have 4 steps here, and we are only going to work on the senses which we already have, and they're kind of a little underused. Meditation, I'm sure a lot of people must have tried it, and a lot of people must have felt like, okay, listen, meditation is just not my thing. I sit, and then I start thinking about my assignment, in your case. And then I start thinking about the other guy, or the girl, whatever. Or my maid not showing up. Or who's going to pick up my kids. And there are 10,000 thoughts in my head when I begin to meditate. But what we do not realize is that that internal mental chatter is the part of the process. You have to go through this to be able to find yourself in that kind of a state where you are left not only with 10,000 thoughts. From 10,000 you go to 1,000, from 1,000 you go to 100, from 100 you go to 10, and from 10 to 1, and from 1 you actually manage to create that state where you're absolutely thoughtless, a blank screensaver. And that's when you experience timelessness. But it's a big goal, right? But what I have here is, one of my favorite is a 3-second micro meditation. It is a feature on Facebook which allows you to check into a certain place, and this is how it sounds like. XYZ checks into blah 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 restaurant, a Michelin star with ABC and PQR. Now I would want you to do the exact same thing, but not on a place called the internet. I would want you to do the same thing in your head itself, without any kind of electronic device. Now, how to do this? A 3-second micro meditation. What is that you actually can tell yourself in those 3 seconds, which can just make you feel a little more better, calm, relaxed than 3 seconds and 4 seconds back? Because it takes 1 second for you to even realize this. Anyways, so 3-second micro meditation is you become aware of your physical presence in time and space. That is it. Like, you let yourself know, this is where I am at this point of time. Now, how to make a 3-second micro meditation more fun, right? A 3-second micro meditation becomes more fun maybe on your next adventure, right? Now, it's a very unusual situation. It's a very unusual place for anybody to meditate. Why? Because it's underwater. Anyways, but the fact is that if you manage to remember to remind yourself to do a 3-second micro meditation, moving on to the next one. Working towards an intelligent body. Guys, many ways to work towards an intelligent body. When I say intelligent body, what you have to do is a body which actually does listen to you. It's like having an army which listens to you versus having an army which doesn't listen to you. Now, think about an army which does listen to you. There are many ways to do it, but I'm going to break it down into 2 today. And what we are looking at is proprioception and kinesthetics. Let me break this jargon quickly down. Proprioception is the sense of knowing where your body parts are without having to look at them. Like, where is my left hand touching my right arm at this very moment? This is the sense which allows you to shift your gear without you actually having to look at it. You know, this is what allows you to press the brakes or the accelerator. Now, the kinesthetic awareness is knowing where your body is in relation to where the other objects are around you. Like, how far is the other person from you? How far the other object is from you. Because of kinesthetic awareness, you actually manage to walk on a straight line without bumping into people, right? Now, moving on to the next one, what we have is the sense of smell. Stick your nose in, quite literally. Now, as humans, we have an anatomical disadvantage of having our nose in the middle of basically nowhere. It's in the middle of your face, but it's not close to anything. The only thing you smell with your nose these days is just your food when you're eating it, and that is too involuntarily. See, we happen to smell things because we are passing through that set of fumes. You just walk across a bakery. You didn't go sniffing there. Be a dog, be a pig who actually does. Stop smelling, start sniffing, right? You grab your friend's head, take a good sniff, and say like, were you at my favorite cafe? Grab the other person. Is there any carpenter working in your house? Grab the third one. You smell like my boyfriend. It's actually a pity that we have a sense which we totally ignore. We need to work on it. But I'm saying sniff it. You're not going to snort it. It's a very powerful sense. You may actually end up finding yourself a mate or a partner just by sniffing. Moving on to the next one. Expose yourself to discomforts. And this is very interesting, and this is very important. Why we want to do it? We want to expose ourselves physically to discomforts. When I say discomforts, the unusual situations, so that the only reason is so that we can actually see how you reacted, what your reaction was. Did you choose to fight or did you take the flight? You want to put yourself into different situations. Do that. It's a lot of fun. A lot of new experience, and your body actually begins to learn a lot when you expose yourself into things which are new to you. In January, wake up 4 in the morning when it's really cold. I don't know how cold it gets in Pune, I believe not very cold. But let's say if you happen to be in Delhi. strip naked, walk bare feet to the bathroom, cold feet, stand under the shower. Don't open it yet. Just stay there. Let yourself know, dude, I'm going to open the cold tap. But before you do, you let yourself know, okay, I'm doing it with my own consent. It's not somebody else putting a bucket on me. It's me doing it on myself. And I want to pretend that I'm completely okay with it. I don't make any funny faces like, because you did it. You don't chicken out of that experiment. You stay there. You be like a hustler if there are not enough challenges already on you. Pretend that you're completely fine with that thermal shock. You're exposing your body to that thermal shock. But the whole exercise is to fool your body. Initially, you will have to pretend you're cool with it. There's no way you'll be actually cool with it. You will pretend it. I can give you some tips on how to pretend it. Yeah, try to understand these. You fool your body that you're comfortable with it. You convince your body that you're okay with it. That would be a wiser way to go about it. The third one is that you convince your body to be fooled to be okay with it. Now, while you're figuring it out, let me tell you a small example, like how powerful the thoughts are. My first day of body weight training, my trainer puts me into plank. Zubin, get into plank. I'm like, take him. I am on my elbows, and I just held it as long as I can. And the moment I collapsed, he said 48. I said, what do you mean 48? He said 48 seconds. I said, I didn't know you were timing. He said, oh, well, gone, chance gone, 48. I said, fine, not a big deal. Second day, plank again. And I know this guy's timing. But this guy, he slides an iPad between my elbows and plays a movie trailer, which is usually a 2 minute and 30 seconds of my favorite movie genre. And I watched the entire trailer, nailing that plank for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And I feel, obviously, I would like to take the credit, right? It's my body who eventually did it. He didn't do it. I held that plank for 2 minutes, 30 seconds, and I felt actually great about it. Third day, plank again. Now this guy didn't bring the iPad along. You know what he slides underneath my chest, my elbows? An old clock. An old clock. Felt like forever. 26 seconds, bam. What do we learn? The thought behind. The iPad thing was a positive distraction, but it fooled my body. Right? It made me do much more than I thought I could actually do. Maybe I can hold a plank for 3 minutes like Michelle Obama does it. She nails it. Infinite possibilities. A human body is capable of doing so much that we can't even imagine. Many possibilities. We are not even talking about the level of mind yet. We are just talking about the human body here. So many possibilities of making that change. To work with your own body, start with it, and then you see where it leads you. Maybe like that Rishi, you actually grow much more patient, calmer, more relaxed, wiser perhaps. I would like to conclude it by saying that think of yoga as it's some sort of an adhesive. If you actually see what the word yog means is to join. Yuj, the etymology of the word yoga. But let me sum it by saying that yoga is some sort of a glue which turns you into a sticker. It's a medium. And then you choose what you want to stick yourself to. And that can be anything. And like Jasmine said, you know, she's a hustler. She's like our yogi here. Infinite possibilities, guys. Miracles is what your body is capable of doing. Thank you very much.